So buggy sometimes. All right, let's try this again.
We got this.
Welcome to Good for Bitcoin, a weekly show recorded live every Friday where we recap the top events of the week and talk about everything that is good for Bitcoin. If it's built on Bitcoin, then it's good for Bitcoin. Let's get started.
Content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, or company. We encourage you to conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Good for Bitcoin, your weekly pulse on Bitcoin innovation. It's the new tagline that we're testing out. My name is Brandon. Yeah, how do you like it?
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think we're trying some things. We're working on maybe a new Good for Bitcoin website, TBD. Yeah, we haven't shared any previews of that yet, but it's been something that I've been thinking about for a while, to have a better place to send people than just like go to Spotify, go to YouTube, go to X, just would be nice to have just a dedicated platform for that. But anyway, welcome to the show. Kate, how was your week?
We were just talking about before we started the show, it was like such a busy week work-wise. Like, I feel the news, not a ton actually happened, but I feel the meta right now is just Claude and AI and like how you can use it to just run your life. So that's like, I feel like a lot of people have just been playing with that and seeing like, I don't know, new developments come out every day. It's like, whoa, how can I integrate this while also, still putting out like meaningful work that, I'm proud and like excited to work on. So busy week, but yeah. How was your week?
Yeah, I feel the same way. We titled the show as "The Tourists Have Left and the AI Agents Have Arrived," because we have fear and greed is like super down. I think we talked about this last week also. I think it went down a couple more points this week. It's like 7 out of 100, which is like extreme fear. I'm honestly not really feeling it. I feel like you and me both, like, this is almost like the best time to be in Bitcoin is like when you have all the tourists that have left and everyone is just here and building really cool stuff with AI. So it's a really, really awesome time to be building on Bitcoin right now. And it's more accessible than ever to do that. So I personally, I think, it's a really exciting time. And I almost feel like I too have never been busier with all the things. We were just talking about before the show started how fast this week went by. It feels like like we were just recording the show last week, and it's already been a new week, and already many new developments in the AI. Just everything. There's so much going on. So there's a lot.
I saw someone on our team shared a screenshot earlier, and I thought it was like very applicable. He's talking about like OpenClaw and how the feeling of setting up OpenClaw on your computer right now is very like reminiscent of setting up your first like crypto wallet or like buying Bitcoin back in like 2015, 2016. And it's like, you're kind of sketched, you're going to lose all your money and get scammed, but you also kind of just send it.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is definitely the feeling.
Definitely how it feels. Yeah, I need to lock in this weekend and finally set up OpenClaw.
Me too.
I was hesitant because there's so much talk about like the security risks and all that stuff.
Totally.
But if you do it right, don't do it on your main machine. If you do it on your main machine, like make sure that it's like sandboxed in a way that it doesn't have access to only what you let it have access to. So I need to do that. It's really easy now because like I have an Umbrel, and Umbrel came out with an app for it, so I can set it up on there and get it going. So that's cool. My my plan for this weekend.
Your weekend project. Love it.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get into some news. There's not a ton of news, but a couple pretty important things that happened this week. But as always, we got to start off with the public companies buying Bitcoin strategy at it again. They bought 2,486 BTC. They now hold 717,131 BTC.
Crazy. Then we have the American Bitcoin Corporation, one of Trump's companies. They bought 196 Bitcoin this month, and they now hold over 6,000 BTC.
We also saw a French company, Capital B. They bought 6 BTC this week, a modest 6 BTC, bringing them to a total of 2,834. And that seems like all the companies. I was looking at the Bitcoin Treasuries dashboard this week, and that's it.
Yeah.
So not a lot of buying, not a lot of selling, just a lot of holding for the most part. But we got a few folks in here that are continuing to buy.
Yeah, and then we have a pretty big merger. You want to get into the details on this?
Yeah, this was bigger news on the public company side of things. Nakamoto has signed an agreement to acquire BTC Inc., which is the owners of Bitcoin Magazine and the Bitcoin Conference, also David Bailey's companies, and UTXO Management, which is like the VC firm, also led by David Bailey in an all-stock transaction. So basically, what this means is now all of David Bailey's companies are all under Nakamoto. So you get a little bit more, it's kind of like, well, not really, but you get like a little bit more operational, centralization in there. So it makes it a little easier to do things. And we'll get into it. I think all of us know kind of what the Bitcoin Conference is and what Bitcoin Magazine are, but UTXO Management, I just wanted to share, like, this is a look at some of their portfolio, companies that they have invested in. Definitely a lot of familiar names in there, both in the Stacks ecosystem and in just the Ordinals ecosystem and just Bitcoin as well. So lots of familiar names in there. We got Xverse in there, Velar in there, Taproot Wizards, shout out. So yeah, just for those that don't know what UTXO does.
No,
but
that's
yeah,
good.
so
Go
ahead.
That's a good. I actually wasn't like super familiar with like their portfolio, and a lot of times you hear UTXO, and I honestly associated them with like custody services, almost like BitGo or something. So that's cool that you showed that.
That is, that's okay. I didn't realize how degen their investments were. I thought that they were like, I thought that
By
they
the
like
book.
invested more in like kind of the Bitcoin Maxi kind of companies, in
Yep.
Bitcoin. I didn't realize how like that they're investing a lot in like Ordinals infrastructure and Ordinals companies and stuff like that. So pretty
Super cool.
interesting. A quote here, a couple quotes that I wanted to pick out from this. First one is BTC Inc. and UTXO are expected to provide recurring earnings to strengthen the company's balance sheet and support growth initiatives, including additional Bitcoin accumulation and strategic acquisitions. I don't think I included it in our notes here, but I did. So BTC Inc. and UTXO generated approximately $78 million in combined revenue last year in 2025. So this is, a way for them to actually have revenue and be a real business rather than just a company that's holding Bitcoin. So that's the strategy, right? Is you are a real business, you're earning revenue, you're earning profits, and then you're able to take those profits and cycle them back into Bitcoin to grow your treasury. So there was kind of like, I think, some FUD around the announcement. There's been a lot of controversy around Nakamoto, especially with their price going up and mostly down since they went public. This option to acquire these companies was pre-approved by shareholders during the initial merger when Nakamoto and Kindly MD merged. It just didn't happen until kind of this was just executed on this week. So a couple more things that they shared that I thought were interesting. UTXO management outperformed Bitcoin by approximately 59%. I think they wanted to include that metric in there just because that's kind of the goal of these treasury companies, right? Is that what they say is that buying into one of these treasury companies in theory should be outperforming Bitcoin. Otherwise, what's the point? Just buy Bitcoin. And yeah, they kind of expanded saying like building an operating company enables Nakamoto to have recurring revenue and operating cash flow across Bitcoin cycles, support disciplined Bitcoin accumulation, and pursue sustainable per share value creation. And they say all that, and all that sounds great. But when we first talked about Nakamoto, like last year when they first went public, I did buy a little bit, and my investment has gone down 80% since then. So the lesson here is if you can just buy Bitcoin, just buy Bitcoin.
There you go.
That is the safe bet. That is the closest to financial advice, I guess, that I'll give on the show. Bitcoin is usually the better investment most of the
That's
time.
funny. This is like
it wasn't
a great
like a material amount, so I'm not struggling, but
you were doing it for the culture, I think.
Exactly.
This is like this reminds me of, I mean, I don't know how many weeks ago it was now. We were talking about what Bitcoin did, the podcast with Danny Knowles and Michael Saylor. And he was saying like, is it responsible for companies to be buying Bitcoin if there's actually like not a real valuation underneath? And Michael Saylor just kind of like went off on him and was like, how dare you criticize anyone buying Bitcoin, basically. But this feels like a good example because it's like, you're really like looking at what's underneath the public company, like if it actually has enough to sustain the valuation of it, or is it like strictly relying on Bitcoin, and is that a responsible sort of business venture? Saylor's response is really like, there's 400 million companies. Why are you criticizing like the under 200 that have actually bought Bitcoin? Why are you not criticizing the ones who haven't? But it definitely hurts shareholders if there's not like a asset underneath the company that's actually worth something, and Bitcoin has these big drawdowns. Like that is sort of the criticism that he was talking about. So
yeah, you told me about that interview a few weeks ago, and I did finally listen to it.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of on Saylor's side, honestly. I felt like Danny like just kept doubling down on the same question and not really understanding like what Saylor was trying to say. And like, yeah, like at the end of the day, basically like there's a lot of different types of companies out there. They're all trying to be, hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet in their own way. And whether or not they're holding Bitcoin, like companies are, some companies are successful, some companies are not successful. Doesn't matter, whether they're holding Bitcoin or not holding Bitcoin. That's not like the fight. Sorry, it doesn't matter in what way they're holding Bitcoin. The point is that they're holding Bitcoin, and that should be celebrated. And yeah, like you said, we should be criticizing all of the companies that are not holding Bitcoin. Why are we criticizing the very, 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 very small majority of companies that are holding Bitcoin and maybe doing it in a way that you don't like? If you don't like it, just don't invest in them, and invest in maybe another company that is doing it better in your opinion. But it's just not what the focus should be. Which kind of like, it makes sense to me. I'll say like before listening to that interview, I kind of was like on like the mindset of like how Danny thinks about it. And I think we've talked about it on the show, a lot.
Definitely.
Coming it from that kind of angle. So yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense to me. But yeah, highly recommend listening to that interview on what Bitcoin did. I think it's like an hour long probably. But it was pretty good. Yeah, I liked it.
And highly recommend buying Bitcoin over Naka.
We'll still recommend that as well. But
That's funny.
But also like, what Saylor also, I feel like Saylor didn't explain this part well, but like there are a lot of companies and a lot of institutions that can't buy Bitcoin. So they need to buy it as sort of a proxy through these like Bitcoin treasury companies. That's kind of the whole reason that they exist. Because if everybody could just buy Bitcoin, again, like what is the point, right?
Exactly.
So that is the reason, that a lot of these companies exist, and exist across like different like sectors as well, right? You have like, Strategy, which was kind of more like a business analytics kind of like company. You have like some of these other companies that are like in manufacturing and like medical and stuff. So maybe, you know, if you're an institution, you're looking at your portfolio, you're like, I can only invest in a medical company. That's your in, right? With some of these kind of treasury companies. So that's why there's all these different types of businesses out there. And they're all just trying to buy Bitcoin, and that should be celebrated. That was the whole point. So
There you go.
yeah. All right, moving on to this one's pretty cool. I thought I feel like Coinbase didn't make a huge deal about this, but I think it's pretty awesome. They have enabled the ability to instead of earning USDC interest in USDC, you can actually earn interest in Bitcoin. So very similar to we've talked about like River on the show and others. So it's really cool that Coinbase is offering this, where you can just have like some USDC, some stable coins on the platform, and you're just earning interest in Bitcoin, which is pretty cool. It's another way to like DCA.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's much more appealing. So very cool.
Yeah. I think like this is kind of how I like think about like saving is like I personally have like, a certain amount of dollars that kind of exists as like an emergency fund, like, in terms of like saving. So I have that amount. I'm happy with like, okay, I have enough in that fund that like I don't need more dollars. So for me, like I have that amount personally like in River as sort of like an emergency fund, but I don't need more dollars, but I always need more Bitcoin. So, that's kind of the strategy that this is really helping to enable, is to save in Bitcoin, which is really cool.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the regulatory front. The CFTC, known as the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, they're adding crypto CEOs to their advisory panel. So it's not like crazy breaking news, but it's definitely just, a signal that we're moving closer to having like crypto here for the long term, Bitcoin more established in the government. So, CFTC, they oversee the markets alongside the SEC. I think they now hold 20 of the 35 seats are now like linked to crypto related firms, which is pretty insane to think about. Like that from 2 years ago to now is like there's almost like a majority of these seats are held by like crypto related. So it's just good. Rather than having like more traditional finance voices, it's just really signaling that CFTC is taking strides to make sure that crypto is more permanent, and it's not just sort of like a trend. So good news.
Yeah. They've always been more on the ball compared to like the SEC with like crypto stuff. I totally miss this though. I'm glad that you put this in here. It's pretty cool. All right. That leads us to kind of one of the bigger stories of the week, which is kind of latest news on this market structure bill that is slowly weaving its way through. And we have a little small update. This is a tweet news from Eleanor Terrett, who has been posting a lot of really great information as this has continued to go through. So I'll read a couple things in the tweet here that I thought were the most interesting. One is, for one, this week, this tweet was from yesterday. This week, a smaller stablecoin meeting that included reps from Coinbase, Ripple, A16Z, Blockchain Association, Crypto Council. They met with bank associations like the American Bankers Association and the Bank Policy Institute to try to continue to hash out a deal regarding this market structure bill. For a little bit of context, the main point of contention, we've talked about it a lot on the show already, is how stablecoin interest is passed on to holders. So the Genius Act prevents issuers like Circle, as an example, from passing on interest to holders directly. So if you hold, USDC on chain, if you're in the US, you don't just like earn interest just for having it. Like that just doesn't exist, and that can't exist under the Genius Act. But there's, other companies like Coinbase who, if you are holding USDC on their platform, Coinbase is essentially passing along that interest to you as a USDC holder. And the reality is that a lot of banks consider that sort of a loophole in, the Genius Act, from, not allowing that interest to be passed on to holders. But the reality is that banks just don't want to compete with that interest rate. JP Morgan is giving you 0.01% in your savings account, where Coinbase is giving you 3.5% interest on your USDC. And banks don't want to compete with that. So that's kind of been the main point of contention. And there's been progress, but unfortunately not good progress on this. So one thing is the sources say that there was a notable difference today. The White House took the lead in driving the discussion in this meeting rather than letting the crypto firms and the bank trades steer the discussion, which has been what has happened in previous meetings. The White House Crypto Council Executive Director, his name is Patrick Witt. He brought draft text that served as the central focus of the conversation. And unfortunately, the language acknowledged concerns banks raised in last week's yield and interest prohibitions principles document, while making clear that any future restrictions on rewards would be narrow in scope. Earning yield on idle balances, which was a key crypto industry goal, is effectively off the table. So if you are just holding, you will not earn interest if this bill passes under this new draft. And yeah, the debate has really just narrowed down to whether firms can offer rewards linked to certain activities. So it'll sort of be like more active participation. I don't know what that looks like exactly, but it won't just be as simple as like holding, in a bank account kind of equivalent. So what are next steps? Bank trade groups will brief their members on those discussions, engage whether there's room to compromise on allowing crypto firms to offer stablecoin rewards. So that's currently the compromise. It's like, okay, if we can't offer like interest, can we offer rewards based on if they do something? So I think that's kind of where the discussion has ended up. And then one source, I guess, said that an end of month deadline doesn't seem unrealistic. So within the next couple of weeks, we could potentially have news, although it might not be good news. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. I also read somewhere that like the violation penalty, I think, like if you're trying to like skirt the yield ban is like $500K a day or something.
Yeah,
which is quite steep.
That's not good. I guess like outside of the US, like in Canada, like I know that there are yield bearing stablecoins that do exist. Do you have access to those, or is there like similar regulation like in Canada and like other places like that?
It's a good question. I don't think it's the same type of regulation. Like personally, I don't earn yield, so like I don't really know, but I don't think that there's like such a strict like ban on it. Let me look into that because I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, there are ones like where literally if you just like have it in a self-custodial wallet and you just hold it, they are like interest bearing. Like those do exist, but if you're in the US, like you're just prohibited from using them.
Yeah, I'll look into that because that might have changed. I remember like seeing numbers like 11% or something with Coinbase, but like I don't know if that's still a thing or like if our regulation is caught up. So yeah, I'll look into that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know. Just some other quick headlines that we found that I think were interesting. Arizona Senate Bill 1649, which is their Digital Assets Strategic Reserve Fund, has passed their Senate Finance Committee and moved on to their Rules Committee. And that is the last step before a state senator vote. And then it needs to go through the House afterwards. There's so many steps involved with all these different bills, but that bill is moving along. Yeah, we also saw Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon has said this week that he does own Bitcoin, although in quote very, very limited amounts. So that is interesting. More banks capitulating potentially on Bitcoin, but super interesting. And then you put this one in. I missed this one too, and this is also maybe indicative of the price that we've been seeing lately.
Yeah, maybe. So there was a wallet that was linked to the former CEO of the exchange Bit4X, and he's offloaded more than 67,000 Bitcoin since last August, and just over 10,000 since the start of February, which is insane amounts. But it's kind of like I'm sure you saw some of the when like Udi was like bull posting about like his generational wealth and like what's happening with OG Bitcoin whales and stuff, and he's basically saying like some people have just amassed so many Bitcoin that like they're just at this point where they're cashing out now. Like they've hit their 100K mark. Their like returns, I don't know how much higher they can go, but this kind of sounds like this could be related to that.
Yeah, it's the Jordy Visser had a blog post that I think kicked this off. This was like later last year, which was like Bitcoin's ETF moment.
Yes.
And we talked about that on the show, and it was like, yeah, it's like, there's so much now liquidity in the system. If you are a very, very large, Bitcoin holder, if you're a whale, you can actually work directly with like BlackRock or, the large ETFs to convert your like real Bitcoin holdings into their ETF wrapper and do it in it, and it's not taxable when you do that. So a lot of people are doing that. That are these huge whales, and then they're selling it through the ETFs because they're more liquid, and that is what has been happening, over the last 6 months or so, or even over the last like year, and that a lot of people are saying is why the price has kind of been as stagnant as it is. You also had in October, you had that big liquidation event that happened, which we still have. I don't think I've seen like the full effects of. There's still somebody out there, some institution or maybe multiple institutions that are underwater from all those liquidation events.
Yeah.
So there's still kind of some unknown I don't know, damage that's in the system right now, and that's kind of the explainer for the price and why it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if I had
just keep buying, I guess.
67,000, I'd dump a few, I'd dump a few on the market.
If I had a cool 100,000 Bitcoin, maybe I'll shave a little bit off the top and get something nice for myself, Yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up for the week. Another busy week for us. Lots of stuff going on next week. On the Stacks side, we have the Zealy stuff that's going to be kicking off. Stacks is going to be giving out over $10,000 in STX just for doing some really very simple activities with USDC, like bridging and stuff like that into Stacks. So go check that out. I will be very busy on Discord providing support for that, I'm sure.
Are you giving out 10,000 in STX or 10,000 in USDCX?
It's in STX.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
It's just easier for us, but people can convert it if they want to after the fact.
Of course.
But yeah.
All right.
That's pretty much it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will see y'all next week. We will be here. We're back to being consistent on the show. Go subscribe on your favorite podcast app at goodforbitcoin.com and have a good weekend.
Awesome. See you guys.
Bye.